So I recently finished my very first playthrough of Enshrouded, and I made a whole lot of mistakes along the way. But I've learned a lot of cool tips that would have helped me when I first started playing this game. So I wanted to share with you all 8 mistakes everybody makes in Enshrouded. Be sure to let me know the biggest mistake you've made in Enshrouded in the comment section below. Mistake number 1 is going to be not utilizing altars and towers correctly. So early on in the game, you're going to unlock flame altars, which are basically going to be the central point for your base. Eventually, you'll be able to have up to 10 altars, 10 active altars at a time. So I would highly recommend early on, when you do have some spare altars, instead of just using them for your base or using them for alternative bases, end up using them for extra places to teleport around the world. Now I do have 2 bases here in Flatbread Keep, so I can just go back and forth from the Springlands all the way to the Nomad Highlands. But especially early on, when you're maybe in that first couple areas, it might not be a bad idea to place some altars in some specific places, maybe around elixir wells, maybe locations where you're going to be gathering resources, maybe near the Blackmire, because it might take a while to get over to that first ancient spire. But be sure to just use these to teleport anywhere around the map. You can see I have a bunch in the Vale Water Basin Albany summits, and I try to separate them out a little bit, except for maybe this one where I use it for mining and stuff like that. But as you're going around the world, definitely make sure to hit up these ancient spires, because these will be fast travel points, as well as just getting your altars down so you can teleport wherever you need to go. Mistake number 2 is going to be about not buffing yourself to the best of your abilities. So if you look on the left hand part of my screen right here, you can see my character's feeling quite hungry, and you see those 3 circles. Those indicate the amount of food buffs that you can carry on your character at any given time. The main thing you're going to be looking out for when it comes to these foods are the specific type of buffs and if they correlate to your character. For example, if we look at the meat wrap, this does extra magical damage, so if you're a magic user, you may want to eat meat wraps. Chicken soup does extra range or dagger damage, so if you use those type of weapons, you may want to eat that. Popcorn gives extra melee damage. Honey baked bananas gives stamina and health regen. Essentially, you find 3 different types of foods that work best with you, and you can stack these for as long as they last. I have flatbread, which gives me 12% extra melee damage. I can eat that. I have grilled crab meat, which gives me extra health. And then I also have ginger tea, which will give me stamina and ice resistance. Now this would matter a little bit more, the ice resistance, if we were going to the Albany summits. But as you look on the left hand side of our screen now, we have 3 different types of food buffs. And I must specify they need to be 3 different types. They can't be the exact types. So we have a liquid, we have a grain, and we have a meat. We also have a couple other types of ways to grab buffs. For example, we have these little Vuka shrines. You could take the blessings here, and if we pull it up, we can actually see on our character. This Vuka buff will give you extra damage to scavengers and poison resistance for 30 minutes. So not a bad idea to have one of those on you. In addition to that, you can also, if you have a cat or a dog, let me look around, where's the puppy? Puppy, no, what are you doing in the fire? Anyways, if you pet the dog, it can be either a dog or a cat. You'll see I get a buff called Paws Touch. All right, dog, don't completely burn yourself in there, please. Paws Touch gives us an extra 25 HP for 30 minutes. So when you really look at this, when you have the Vukar buff, you have the Paws Touch, you have all your food effects. I have this Soul Word Flask just from doing some quests earlier. You can really just stack all of these and do some crazy damage or do a lot more than you would normally do if you didn't have any buffs. Mistake number 3 is going to be about not trying new builds. Now, one thing I highly recommend, which I didn't try really early on until I was recommended doing so, is that you can actually reskill your skill points for pretty cheap. Like getting a full reset to refund all of your skills does not cost a lot at all. And you have a lot of different ways you can go on the skill tree here. Now you may end up going down the warrior guardian tree and not liking that. Maybe you want to end up doing like Beastmaster or Ranger Assassin. You just end up going up to your flame altar and resetting your skill tree right here. And 179 runes is not a lot at all. So definitely try different skill types. There were a lot of skills that I didn't actually try my first time around. For example, like I ended up finding out I really liked kick, you know, up draft. I feel like double jump is a main one. But even like giant hook slayer, grounding hook, I highly recommend just trying out a bunch of different skills, seeing which ones you like the most. And that'll help you decide a lot earlier which type of build you prefer. Now, tip 4 is going to be jump starting your farms and your animals. Now, if we go to the back of Bond's house over here, let's jump over here in the back. As you see around here, we have a lot of beds, we have a lot of plates. Basically, we just keep all the animals in this kind of small, compact area. Now, we definitely need to feed them. If we don't feed them, they're not going to be producing any food. But I highly recommend getting a Jumpstart on animals as soon as possible, because each of these will produce a different type of resource. For example, yaks are a lot later. This raw wool is going to be very important. You're going to be wanting a lot of raw wool. But even with the goats, you can get like fizzy goat's milk. I think from the birds, you can get eggs. The capybaras we got were relatively new, but we can get capybara bristles. Take care of these animals and they will basically just give you resources for free. Animal food doesn't cost a lot, and making their beds doesn't take that much. And especially with the yaks, I highly recommend later on, if you play with default settings, you're gonna wanna get some more yaks. Now, in terms of farming, I would recommend, if you can get it, get the fertile farm soil as soon as possible. But soil is mostly for speed in terms of growing your stuff. So you can basically grow anything on grass, but if you have a fertile soil, things will grow a little bit faster. If you have regular soil, it won't grow as fast as fertile soil, but it'll be a lot faster than just growing it in the dirt or the grass. Now, you definitely don't need to be as organized as we are out here. Shout out Bon, he's the one that mostly did all of this stuff. You don't need to have as fancy of a farming area as this. But if you have like a relatively large plot of land that you can plant some stuff and have it grow. I think we have some other crops growing in some other areas here. Like we got some tomatoes in the corner. This kind of works hand in hand with the mistake about consumables. If you're going to be making those consumables, you're going to need a steady source of supplies or ingredients. And I think the biggest way to get that going is starting your fields. So if you can get as many seeds as possible, as many plants as possible, start getting your seed beds going. Now I got some rice seeds right here. And in terms of planting, all you have to do is take your rice seed and place it in the ground. That's literally it. Plant it and wait. Plant it and wait. So the more field room you have, especially the more fertile soil you have, the more you'll be able to plant, the faster things will grow, and the bigger your output is going to be. Once your specific crop has grown, you'll have the raw plant. And then once you have that raw plant, you can just take it over to your seed bed, find the recipe that you're looking for, place the resources in the seed bed, and then it'll grind it up and turn it into the seed that you need. Tip 5. Now this is more of a personal one for me, but especially when you go out and about, definitely, oh, there's my bow. I was looking for that. Definitely make sure to keep some bombs on you at all times. There's been a lot of times where I'm like running around the world, or I'm going around in the shroud and you can't find an easy way to get back up a mountain. So let's go over to like this mountain, for example. You get these bombs relatively early and they kind of show them off, but you really want, I would highly recommend keeping these on you, because you can use these to almost make like little steps. And then if you just hit the corners, you could just essentially, oh, I missed. You can build like a staircase going up like a hill or something. And if you're like stuck in a shroud where you can't find the way up, this is going to be very useful. It's something that I feel like a lot of people might miss or might not think about, but when you go out and about, I highly recommend keeping a stack of bombs on you, specifically for that reason. Now, one thing I kind of backtracked on later when I started playing was putting a lot of these markers down. So I have these custom markers that essentially indicate resources. To make a marker, all you got to do is right click on the map and you can find create marker here. You have a bunch of different colors that you can choose from for your icon, and then you just choose the icon that you want. And it's simple as that. If you want to delete it, all you got to do is left click it, remove marker, and it's gone. Hopefully in the future they make it so you can actually put a name on it, because all you can have for now are custom markers. But you can see even around the map, like I've put these custom markers everywhere for like mini bosses, iron, tin, copper, some water holes, pretty much everything, honestly. Mistake number 7 is not finding Gemforges and socketing your weapons as soon as you get them. As you can see, even on my bar here, I'm still having this problem. I'll get new weapons and then I'll just forget to socket them, or I'll just simply not do it. So I think we have a box over here with some gems. Let me pull out some of the gems here. First thing you're gonna need to do is find a Gemforge, which I believe we have a couple around the base here. Yeah, we have one not too far away. But you're also going to need archaic essence. And you do need a specific type of archaic essence, one that corresponds with the Gemforge you're going to. If you read its little description, it says this variant can be found in the Nomad Highlands. Archaic Essence 1 can only be found in the Springlands, so you have to use this for Gemforges in the Springlands. Archaic Essence 2 can be used in the Revelwood, and is also found in Shroud layers in the Revelwood. If you want to find these essences, obviously you're going to need a Gemforge, but you want to find a Shroud layer in that same area. So you can see in the east over here, kind of in this low meadows area, there is a Gemforge and a Shroud layer nearby. So what you could do is go into the Shroud layer, get some essence, and then go up to the Gemforge and socket your weapon. All right, we've made it to a Gemforge. This Gemforge is not too far from Ferndale here. We're just in the Shroud to the east. But once you find one of these Gemforges and you have your Archaic Essence, you can go up to the Gemforge. You can choose the weapon of your choice. So let's say Vesta's Mace. And we are going to insert this gem right here. And as you can see, the insert cost is going to cost 50 Archaic Essence 1. So we'll shove that in, and now our mace is socketed. And then same with the wand. If we want to insert the Gem of Corruption, it's going to cost a little bit more, but that's all it is. And if you want to extract it, you can also extract it. Because it's that easy, I highly recommend just having some Archaic Essence in a box and having some gems next to it, so that when you do get some new weapons, you can just go straight to the Gemforge and socket your new weapons. Now, final mistake is going to find as many unmarked locations as possible. Now, even as far as I am into the game, I have a lot of missing marked locations, like player customization things. These used to have question marks on them, and they may still be like that for you. But a lot of these symbols around here are going to lead you to either music sheets, they're going to lead you to color palettes. They even may lead you to things like Gemforges and Shroud layers. But the most important thing you're looking for in terms of these unmarked locations are Shroud roots. You need, as soon as you can find these Shroud roots marked on your map, get them, because they will give you more skill points, and the more skill points you have, the more powerful you're just going to be in the game. But if you want to see some more content about Enshrouded, be sure to check out the video on the screen right here. Don't forget to pay that king's tax of 1 like or 1 sub on your way out. And until next time, y'all, thanks for watching, and take care.